Hi, and welcome back to Everyday Pronunciation. This is Sherry Summers, and today we're going to work on the question, do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Now, we've talked a little bit in the past about WH questions. Those are questions that begin with words like what, why, when, where, and even how. We call them WH questions because, with the exception of that one word, they all begin with a WH. Now, this is just an H alone, but these kinds of questions go up in intonation and then fall down when you're finished. A good example of that might be something like, what time is it? Okay, so it's still a question, but it's not a yes-no question. This is the WH question. We rise here and then we go down. But in the case of a yes-no question, we don't hear a fall at the end. We hear a rise. So if you'll notice, we have, do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Okay, so do you hear that rise at the end? That indicates the question, the yes-no question. And even though people might answer with, it's 3 o'clock, really it is a yes-no question, because if I say, do you know what time it is? Yes, I know, it's 3 o'clock. So the sentence itself isn't particularly difficult. I don't think there are a lot of words in there that we need to worry about, but there are a few things I'd like to point out to you. The first one is the fact that we have the what and the time right next to each other. We have two T's there. Instead of making two separate T's, we're going to make one rather strong T. Okay, so we're going to mark it like that to show that that's a really strong T sound. So we're going to say, what time? What time? Notice I hold the T just a little bit longer. That makes up for the two T's that are there. What time? The next thing to notice is it is usually reduced, so we take out that I there. We're going to put a schwa in there. That's that little And so we have time. We didn't put the T on yet. Let me talk about that in just a second. The last word is. Usually is reduced. Usually we'll say us, but because it's at the end of the word, we want to give it a little more power. So we're going to end up saying is. Now, I didn't put the T in there yet because the T is now in front of this vowel sound. We're going to soften it. So we get diz. Okay, it looks weird, I know, but this is what it sounds like. It's what time it is. What time it is. What time it is. What time it is. Don't forget the soft T right here. Sounds a lot like a D. Diz. Diz. Madiz. Madiz. Tie, our strongest part. Time it is. Time it is. What time it is. What time it is. I'm spending quite a bit of time on that time. Okay, going backwards, we have no. No, K-N-O-W, and N-O sound exactly the same. So this represents an O, this represents an oo. Do you hear it? No. No. You don't always notice that, but it's really there. And you can notice it a little bit because there's a bit of a connection between these two sounds. No. Know what time. Know what time. Know what time it is. Know what time it is. Okay. Do you is interesting. You could say do you. You could definitely say do and then say you. You could say do ya. That would work too. Do ya. Do you or do ya. But a lot of times we reduce the do and we almost get like a do ya. Do ya. Do ya. Do ya. Do you? Do you know? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Try it with me. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Excuse me, do you know what time it is? Try that a number of times. See if you can get the rise at the end. See if you can connect the two T's together. See if you can do the do ya, do ya. You can use these in other sentences too. And I recommend that you try this many times today and go ahead and ask people, do you know what time it is? Now, let me give you a little extra thought before we say goodbye today. There are instances when there will be a drop, and you may hear people say, do you know what time it is? And hear a little drop at the end, but it has a little bit of a different feeling. I'm not genuinely asking a question. It's really more of a statement. It's like when you're telling your spouse, hurry up, do you know what time it is? Meaning, you should know what time it is. We're probably late. So if you hear something like that, don't feel confused. If it's genuinely a yes/no question, you will hear a rise at the end. Do you know what time it is? All right. Good luck with this. Practice it. See if you can get it to roll right off of your tongue and have fun. See you tomorrow.